You ever have those mornings where the shop smells so good you almost don't want to start working? Just that mix of cedar shavings and last night's polyurethane. It's better than the coffee, honestly.
Speak for yourself. If the caffeine hasn't hit my system, I'm basically just a very expensive, very unhelpful paperweight. But I get it. It's Saturday, April 4th, 2026. The world is greening up, and everyone's got that I'm going to build a cathedral in my backyard energy.
God help their neighbors. It's that dangerous springtime optimism. You see a sunbeam, and suddenly you're convinced you can hand cut 50 dovetails by lunch. I've fallen for that trap more times than I'd care to admit on a recorded program.
Well, before you commit to any architectural miracles, we've got a lot to get through. We're looking at the tech that's actually worth the pocket space this year, the weird state of the auto industry, and why your old junk might be worth more than your new projects.
Plus, we're talking decks. Big ones. Jay's finally out of the mud and onto the boards.
Let's start with the gear. The 2026 Tool of the Year list is out, and it's surprisingly minimalist. I thought we'd all be carrying laser cutters in our pockets by now.
Everyone wants the Swiss Army knife that handles 64 tasks, but they forget that 61 of those gadgets are just there to poke you in the palm when you're trying to use the pliers. We're looking at the Leatherman Skeletool again, still the king,
It feels like that tool has been around since the Bronze Age. Why is it still winning in 2026?
because it's honest. It's got a blade that'll actually hold an edge, a driver that doesn't feel like a toy, and pliers that can actually pull a stubborn nail without bending into a horseshoe. I've carried all-in-ones that were the size of a brick and about as useful as a chocolate soldering iron. The Skeletool is just the muscle you need without the ego.
A chocolate soldering iron. I'm stealing that. But speaking of things that shouldn't be overcomplicate, you spent the week testing grill kits. Please tell me you didn't find a way to make flipping a burger a high-tech ordeal.
You wouldn't believe the innovations out there. I saw one kit that had a built-in LED light on the spatula. If you need a headlight to find a ribeye, you've got bigger problems than your cooking temperature.
So, what's the verdict for the 2026 grilling season?
High gauge stainless steel. That's it. If the metal is thin enough that you can flex the tongs with one finger, throw them back in the bin. You want something with long handles so you aren't sacrificing your arm hair to the charcoal gods. The winners this year aren't the 20-piece sets with the corncob holders and the weird basting brushes you'll never clean. It's the heavy-duty duo, spatula and tongs. Simple, brutal, and effective.
It's funny because you're preaching simplicity for physical tools, but then the TigerDen blog says we need to start using AI for our shops. Isn't that the opposite of heavy gauge stainless?
You'd think so, right? But look, I spent half my life digging through piles of receipts and trying to remember if I had enough 2-inch wood screws for a project. Now, I've got a script that tracks my inventory and another one that handles the business side of things so I can actually go back to the lathe. Using AI isn't about letting a robot build your table. It's about letting the robot do the paperwork so you don't have to.
Are you telling me you actually like the robots now, Tiger? I remember the rant you went on about digital tape measures 3 years ago.
Listen, I still trust a physical rule over a digital readout any day of the week. But if an AI can edit a video of me turning a bowl so I don't have to sit in front of a computer for 6 hours, I'm inviting that robot over for dinner.
Speaking of tech, let's talk about the trades. We're seeing a massive shift in the automotive world. Costa Hightus was talking about this. The technician shortage isn't just about people not wanting to get their hands greasy anymore.
It's because the cars have become sentient. I popped the hood on a 2026 hybrid the other day, and I felt like I needed a degree in aerospace engineering just to find the fluid reservoirs.
Exactly. The report says the demand for brains over muscles is at an all-time high. It's not just about turning a wrench, it's about sensor recalibration and software diagnostics.
It's a specialized game now. If you're a young tech coming up, don't just learn how to pull an engine. Learn the electronics. Become the person who can talk to the car's computer. In the old days, the shop wizard was the guy who could tune a carburetor by ear. Today, the wizard is the one who understands why the lane departure sensor is hallucinating. High complexity means high job security. If you can fix the things nobody else understands, you'll never go hungry.
It's a different kind of craftsmanship. It's digital joinery.
I like that, but honestly, it's a bit scary for the old guard. You have to be willing to be a student again. The second you decide you know everything about your trade, you're basically a dinosaur waiting for the asteroid.
Let's pivot to something a little more maker mogul. You mentioned that the vintage resale market is exploding on Etsy this month, specifically for items over 20 years old.
It's the ultimate low overhead side hustle. And here's the thing. As makers, we have a cheater's advantage.
How so?
Most people find a beat-up 1950s dresser at a garage sale and see a piece of junk. We see a weekend project that doubles the value. If you know how to strip a finish without ruining the veneer, or how to sharpen the blade on a rusty 1930s Stanley plane, you aren't just a reseller. You're a restorer. You're taking a $10 find and turning it into a $300 industrial chic centerpiece.
Industrial chic. Look at you using the SEO buzzwords.
Hey, I'm a businessman too. But seriously, the aesthetic tags are where the money is. People don't search for old tools anymore. They search for mid-century maker studio decor. You have to speak the language of the buyer.
So the tip for the listeners is find the stuff that's honest but ugly, apply some elbow grease, and tag it like a designer.
Precisely. It's about rescuing the quality that's hiding under 50 years of dust.
Okay, we have to talk about the big deck energy. Jay is finally hitting the decking phase on his massive project. I've been following this on the blog. This thing is more of a fortress than a porch.
It's gargantuan. I think he's trying to build something that can be seen from low Earth orbit, but he's doing it right. He's using Cali decking, which is the smart move for 2026.
Why that specifically? Why not just pressure-treated pine and a prayer?
Because a prayer doesn't stand up to a wet spring and a humid summer. Wood is a living thing. Even after it's cut, it wants to move, twist, and rot. These new composites and sustainable materials they're making now, they don't fight you. You put them down, and 10 years later, they still look like they did on day one.
You're also seeing a lot of people doing trim work in their shops lately. Isn't that a bit fancy? It's a workshop, Tiger. It's supposed to be dirty.
That's what I used to think, but think about it. How much time do you spend sweeping sawdust out of those 90-degree gaps between the floor and the wall? If you put in proper baseboards and maybe a bit of crown molding, the dust has nowhere to hide. It's not about being fancy, it's about workflow. When the shop feels like a professional studio, you tend to work like a professional craftsman.
I guess I never considered interior design as a cleaning strategy.
It's the secret to a happy shop. And speaking of shops, we need to talk about those live edge slabs. Everyone sees those wood slab wonders on social media and thinks it's an easy weekend project.
I'm sensing a disaster story coming. Did you buy a wet slab again?
I walked into a lumber yard last year and saw this piece of walnut that looked like a dream. It was wide, it had this incredible figure. I didn't even check it with a moisture meter. I just hauled it home, built a base, and finished it. 2 months later, the wood decided it wanted to be a Pringle.
A Pringle?
It warped so hard, it nearly ripped the screws out of the steel legs. I had a $1,000 coffee table that couldn't hold a cup of coffee without it sliding off.
So what's the lesson for our weekend warriors?
Kiln dried. If the person selling it doesn't have a moisture reading, walk away. A slab is a massive investment of both money and time. You have to know that the wood has finished its temper tantrum before you try to tell it what to be. If it's still holding on to 20% moisture, it's going to move, and it's going to win that fight every single time.
It's amazing how much of woodworking is just trying to negotiate with a tree that's been dead for 3 years.
That's the whole game, Alex. Whether you're working on a computer-controlled car or a piece of white oak, you're just trying to understand the material's limits.
We've covered a lot today, from the simplicity of a good multi-tool to the complexity of the modern auto trade. What's the one thing people should take into the shop with them this weekend?
I think it's the idea of intentionality. Don't just buy the 20-piece tool set because it's on sale. Don't just slap a deck together because the sun is out. Take a second to look at what you're doing. Buy the tool that fits your hand. Check the moisture in the wood. Learn the one skill that everyone else is ignoring.
Be the wizard.
Exactly. Be the person who understands the why behind the how. It makes the work a lot more satisfying, and it usually means you don't end up with a table shaped like a potato chip.
Fair enough. Thanks for the heads up on the Pringle table.
My pain is your gain. Now get out there and build something. Just maybe check the weather forecast before you start the deck.
See you next time at the Tiger Den.